Throughout history, warfare has created occupations where survival was measured in days, not years. Some military roles carried such extreme risks that they were essentially death sentences. These are the stories of the brave souls who accepted these deadly assignments. During the Vietnam War, the Viet Cong created extensive underground tunnel networks spanning entire districts. These subterranean complexes contained living quarters, medical facilities, and supply depots, all shrouded in darkness and filled with the stench of rotting bodies hidden to deny Americans accurate casualty counts. When American forces discovered these tunnels, they were too numerous to simply destroy. The intelligence within was too valuable. This led to the creation of a specialist unit, the Tunnel Rats. Armed only with a .45 pistol and flashlight, these small-statured soldiers crawled through dark, claustrophobic spaces on one-man missions. The dangers were immense: punji stakes, tripwires attached to grenades, and Viet Cong fighters waiting with knives and garrotes in tight corners. Combat in these confined spaces was brutal, often fought with blades rather than firearms in the dim conditions. The Forward Observer. Forward observers acted as the eyes and ears of artillery units, calling in devastating barrages from miles away. To spot enemy positions, they had to be within visual range, making them priority targets once identified. These soldiers carried radios and communication equipment, making them easy to spot during firefights. The enemy knew that eliminating the observer would cut off the massive firepower they controlled. There was also the constant risk of miscalculation. Sending wrong coordinates could result in artillery landing on friendly forces instead of the enemy. Modern warfare has largely replaced human observers with drones, but they historically had some of the lowest life expectancies on the battlefield. The Combat Medic. Combat medics faced a unique paradox: they had to expose themselves to enemy fire to save wounded soldiers. While the Geneva Convention forbids targeting medical personnel, this rule wasn't always followed, especially by irregular forces and terrorist groups who deliberately targeted medics to devastate unit morale. Medics often worked under fire without protective gear like sterile gloves, risking infection from bloodborne diseases. If wounded themselves, they rarely received optimal care since most units had only one medic. The combination of enemy targeting and medical risks made this one of the most dangerous non-combat roles. EOD Technician, the Bomb Squad. Explosive ordnance disposal technicians have one of the military's most dangerous jobs. They must locate, identify, and neutralize explosive devices, a role where the slightest mistake means death. The profession began during WWII's London Blitz, when German bombs failed to explode and required special teams to disarm them. Modern EOD technicians face improvised explosive devices, IEDs, in places like Afghanistan and Iraq, sophisticated bombs that can be remotely detonated at any moment. Unlike soldiers in combat, EOD technicians work inches from danger with no cover. Their only protection is the EOD suit, weighing up to 80 pounds and designed to protect against fragmentation, blast waves, and chemical agents. Despite advanced protection, the suits have limitations. They're bulky, restrict movement, and cause dangerous overheating that can reach 122 degrees Fahrenheit inside. The psychological pressure is immense. One wrong move while examining a device means instant. U.S. Army Chemical Corps. The Chemical Corps, nicknamed the Dragon Soldiers, handles the military's most lethal threats: chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear weapons. Their origins trace to WWI's chemical warfare, when poison gas became a common battlefield tactic. These specialists must work directly with substances that can kill in minutes or cause lifelong health problems. They wear full encapsulating suits that provide maximum protection but create severe limitations: restricted movement, impaired vision and communication, and psychological stress from confinement. The level of protective equipment can only be worn for 30 minutes due to heat stress and dehydration risks. Working with weapons of mass destruction while encased in bulky protective gear, knowing that any suit breach means potential death or disability, makes this among the military's most psychologically demanding roles. The Chernobyl Liquidators. When reactor number 4 at Chernobyl exploded on April 26, 1986, it created the world's worst nuclear disaster. Someone had to clean up the radioactive mess. Enter the liquidators. 600,000 people were recruited for history's greatest cleanup operation. These men and women, mostly aged 30 to 40, worked in shifts to limit radiation exposure. The most dangerous job was cleaning radioactive debris from the reactor roof to build a protective sarcophagus. Initially, robots were used, but intense radiation caused them to malfunction after clearing only 10% of debris. Humans had to replace them, earning the nickname biorobots. These brave souls could spend only 90 seconds on the roof, enough time for one shovelful of debris before running to safety. Each liquidator received an average of 120 millisieverts of radiation, equivalent to 1,200 X-rays. Many volunteered for multiple trips to the most contaminated areas. Their Soviet-era protective suits provided some PR. B-17 Ball Turret Gunner. The B-17 Flying Fortress was WWEI's most formidable bomber, but flying one was incredibly dangerous. Of all crew positions, none was more perilous than the ball turret gunner. The Sperry ball turret was a spherical chamber of aluminum and plexiglass hanging from the bomber's belly, armed with 2.50 caliber machine guns. Only 4 feet in diameter, it required gunners of very small stature who had to curl up in fetal position, aiming through sights between their knees. The gunner was completely exposed to enemy fire from below, the direction most fighter attacks and anti-aircraft fire came from. The thin aluminum and plexiglass provided no protection against machine gun rounds or shrapnel. If the turret mechanism was damaged, the gunner became trapped inside. Most terrifyingly, ball turret gunners couldn't wear parachutes due to space constraints. Their parachutes were stored inside the fuselage, requiring help from another crew member and considerable time to. Conclusion. No matter the era or conflict, certain military occupations have demanded the ultimate sacrifice. From Vietnam's dark tunnels to Chernobyl's radioactive wasteland, from WWI's bomber formations to modern battlefields, these brave individuals answered the call knowing their chances of survival were minimal. They faced death as a daily companion, armed with courage, duty, and the knowledge that their sacrifice protected others. Their stories remind us that freedom's price is often paid by those willing to walk into the darkness so others might live in the light.